Hi everybody, Jay the Fish Guy here, back again with another episode of On the Road with the Fish Guy. Thanks for joining us. So today we're going to talk about doing a reef tank on a budget. Now, my very first video I ever did, I kind of touched base on this, but I don't feel that I explained it well enough, and it was, again, one of my first videos, so I think I can do a lot better, and I've had a request recently to touch base on it again as well. So, here we are. How to do a reef tank on the cheap. You know, everybody talks about how the saltwater hobby, and especially the reef hobby, can be expensive. And that's true. But you can do it for a lot less money than what most people do it for. Now, the biggest thing to get past that a lot of people struggle with is to come to the realization that you don't need every single product that other people and companies are telling you that you need. That's probably the biggest thing. I've talked to so many new hobbyists over the years, and they're like, oh, well, I need this to have a successful reef tank, or I need this to make my corals look better. And, well, you don't need it. That's the problem. That's where people get hung up, and they think that everything's so expensive. So how do we keep it cheap? All right, so well, let's start with the fundamentals. What do you really need to have a successful reef tank, or even to just simply start one? Well, my recent build that I did, the bank tank, is a great example of how to get a reef tank up and running on a budget, and what do you need bare bones to actually get off the ground. So let's talk about that. What did that tank really have when you get down to it? So it was an all-in-one tank, so the filtration was built into the back. But let's just say you're doing it on a 20-gallon, a 15-gallon, you know, whatever, just a simple glass tank, all right? So you need some kind of filtration. The ability to use mechanical filtration, like a filter pad, a filter cartridge, what have you, and some chemical filtration like carbon, or the ability to use other things like phosphate removers. There are some that don't need to be in a fluidized bed reactor, so you can, again, keep it simple, keep it cheap. You don't need those things. So filtration, there's number one. And actually, before that, number one is you need a tank. So you need to have a tank. Number two, filtration. So you have the filter, you need a heater. Most people don't live in a climate where their ambient house temperature is mid to upper 70s. So you're going to need something to keep the water a little bit warmer. I do highly suggest buying a better quality heater. That's one of, again, I had a video that I did. The heaters are probably the most prone to failure piece of equipment that we have in our systems. So buying a better quality one, I'm partial to the Eheim Jaegers. The Fluval ones aren't too bad. I think those are a little pricier though. So a good quality heater is definitely key. So filtration, heater, you need some form of reef capable lighting. That's important. What you choose to get, that's up to you. That depends on your budget. That's going to be one of the bigger purchases that you make, because the corals do in fact need light. It's really important to get a better light. And I'm not saying you have to go with the biggest and the best, the name brands, but there's a lot of companies now, the bigger, more reputable companies, that are making some quality products at a more budget-friendly price. Kessel has a great entry-level sized light now that works well on smaller tanks. AI has their Prime light, which is also a very, very nice light for the money. A lot of features built in, but it doesn't even have to be that big either. You know, a reef-capable light strip that you can find good reviews on, where people have had success with it, is a great way to go. I'm going to hopefully get to test at some point a new nano light fixture from Aquamax that I want to see how capable it really is, and I'm hoping to do that in the next month or two. We'll see what ends up happening. But anyway, I digress. So a light fixture, important to have a light fixture. That's, again, going to be one of the bigger things you spend money on. Circulation in the tank. You need some form of circulation. So your filter is going to offer some circulation, whether, again, it's a hang on the back or an all-in-one with a pump in the back chamber that's feeding water into the main tank. But you will need some form of power head. There's a lot of great, inexpensive power heads out there. The Aqua Top one that I gave away for my first giveaway, those things are pretty short money. That one's a little bit bigger, but they do have a nano-sized one if you're doing a smaller tank. Again, size appropriately, but, you know, there's some good stuff out there. Even the, you know, as much as I hate to say it, the Jebos, you know, those are pretty cheap money for having a controllable DC pump if you don't want to jump right into the bigger, much more expensive power heads that are out there. So you run the risk of maybe some issues down the line, quality issues. There's so many people that have them. I mean, it's in the numbers as far as failures go, but there's a lot of people out there that have good luck with them. So I try not to, you know, come down too hard on any of the cheaper brands, because you really get what you pay for. If you're on a budget and you get a couple years out of it and then you're okay with buying another one, hey, great. No problems, no judgments here. You know, you do what you have to do. So circulation, got that out of the way. Beyond that, it's sand if you're going to do a sand bed. Live rock, I'm partial to live rock myself. I feel that tanks will have much greater success much more quickly with established live rock. You know, I've touched base on that in another video. I won't go too deep into it. Can you start a tank with base rock? Absolutely. Is it going to take you much longer to truly get cycled and feel like you can put a decent amount of fish in there and be able to feed and not have those growing pains of starting a new tank with dead everything? For a new hobbyist, I really don't suggest going that route. So a few extra bucks, find some good quality, cured, clean, live rock. You'll thank me later. You'll be up and running and having success far quicker by doing it that way. So that's it, man. That's all you need to actually get up and running. I mean, I showcased it with the bank tank, is that I used established rock, established sand, just had some circulation, a light fixture. That's it. You're up and running. You have a reef tank. Okay, so we've built the tank. All right. What do you do now? You know, everybody's like, oh, well, you know, you need this for phosphates, you need this for nitrates, you need this special gadget for this, for that, the other thing. The list goes on and on and on. Well, you don't. What is the reason for those gadgets, right? Let's look at that real quick. Why do you need those gadgets? Usually they're fixing an issue or they're preventing an issue, right? For the most part. You're helping remove something or you're adding something in. So what can we do to actually not need that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Water changes. My tried and true recommendation, pardon me, 2 seconds, big corner. My tried and true recommendation for getting rid of the bad, putting back in the good, is classic, simple, run-of-the-mill water changes. And that's all I plan on doing on the bank tank to have success. And I've done it many times before. That's just one of my first documented builds and how I plan on doing it. So, again, the gadgets, you don't need them. Do your water changes. Your sizes, as far as how much you're going to do, how often you do them, it's going to vary depending on your tank and how much fish you have in there. All right, so I can't really give you specifics, but if you test your water, if you're keeping up with observing the health and algae growth and things like that in your tank, and then testing accordingly to figure out what may be getting out of whack, water changes, that's it. Remove the bad, put back in the good, carry on as usual. The other thing that a lot of people get wrong, and it's not that it's necessarily wrong, but it facilitates the need for all these extra gadgets to remove or put back in, is too many fish and feeding too much. That's the basics, because how does all this, you know, bad stuff start happening? Well, food. It comes from food. And the more food that you put in, the worse things start to get. And then, again, you need all these gadgets to make everything better. So by having a moderate fish load or even a light fish load, you'll have more success with the reef side. I know it's hard because everybody wants a bunch of fish. They want to have a bunch of corals and to have both. Well, you're either going to be doing a hell of a lot of water changes, or you're going to actually need the gadgets. So that's my opinion on it. So anyway, it is very, very possible to do a successful reef tank on a budget without spending a ton of money. Just get past the idea of what you truly need and what you don't. Hope this answers a lot of questions. I hope it helps some of you new folks out there. If you have any questions for me that I didn't cover or something that you'd like me to talk about more, just let me know down in the comments. I try my best to answer everybody and try to provide a lot of detail for you when I can. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.